Hello, sixth graders. It's Friday and it is the day before you go on spring break. I know I'm excited, and I know when we've talked before, a lot of you are excited to just not have to do work. So we're both in the same boat for that one. Yay! So this video is actually going to be rather short because you have a very easy day today. So first on your agenda in your checklist is a Kahoot review quiz or a game. And so the link and the game pin is in there. Please play. It's a lot of fun. I really like to do the Kahoot game, and I think it's a fun way to kind of review what we've been learning. And then you guys have a quiz, and that quiz is already in Canvas. And then there is 6 questions, I believe. And so a lot of the questions come from your Kahoot quiz, but there are a couple that I couldn't put in the Kahoot games. So I will go over some of those questions with you here. But of course, if you have questions or issues with the quiz, please see me during my office hours, 12:30 to 1:30. I can help you work through them. And then also remember, you can retake the quiz. So if you don't get a good score the first time, or you see what you did wrong after the first time, please take it again, because I would allow you to do that in class too. Okay? And then we have Reach. So I'm seeing groups 3, 4, and 5 today for Reach. And then 1 and 2 are doing iReady. iReady looked like it was up and working today, so hopefully there will be no issues for you, okay? And then, so if you're with me for groups 3, 4, and 5, your worksheet is in modules in the Reach module under this week, okay? And please print that out and have it ready. And if not, at least have a piece of paper and a pencil ready so we can do the problems together. If you are in group 4, you do need to print out that worksheet, because that worksheet isn't something that we can do on the board because you're graphing. Okay, and then you have ST Math. And then the last thing is just to have fun with your family, because today is Family Fun Day, and we want you to be getting outside and maybe doing an activity with your family. So whatever you decide to do with your family, take a picture and send it to Mr. G or myself so we can see what you guys are doing and how you're having fun today. Okay, so that's it. So anyways, the Kahoot game is already in your checklist, and the game pin. So you have until 3 p.m. to do that Kahoot game. It's just a fun way to see how well you're understanding positive and negative numbers. Okay, the quiz in Canvas. So the first question says, Hannah wrote a number that is the opposite of -3. What number did Hannah write? So we talked about opposites on the number line, right? So if you see -3 on the number line, what would be the opposite of that? Okay, and then the second question says, what's the opposite of half? So if you have half on the number line, and remember, if it doesn't have a positive or negative in front of it, then it is positive. So that means it's positive half. Where is it on the number line? So actually, I'm going to draw the number line here for us. My markers are over here, just to kind of give you guys a visual representation. So here's my number line. So the first one with Hannah, it talks about the -3. So I'm going to do 0 here. So if I have 1, 2, 3, 4 over here, then I'm going to have -1, -2, -3. So if this is -3, that's Hannah's number. And actually, Hannah wrote a number that is the opposite of -3. So if -3 is what we know, what's the opposite of that? Well, it is 3 spaces from 0. So that means I'm going to go 3 spaces from 0 this way, because it's the opposite way. And that means it would be +3. Okay, number 2, what's the opposite of a half? So here's a half right here. So what would be the opposite of that? It has to be the same distance from 0, but on the opposite side. So I'm sure you guys can see that that would be a -1/2. Okay? And then the next question, number 3, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points because it says you're going to write a positive or negative number to represent each situation. So if you win $150 in a contest, are you going to be up $150 or down $150? So if you're up $150, you would write positive 150. If you were down $150, then it would be negative $150. And then B says a loss of 15 yards in a football game. So you're losing 15 yards. If you're losing 15 yards, are you going to be on the negative or are you going to be on the positive 15? Then the next one says 75 feet below sea level. So here's sea level and you're 75 feet below. So that means you're going to be on the negative side. So negative 75. D says 35 degrees above 0. So 0 is your origin and it's 35 degrees above. Okay? And then the last one, E, says a debt of $24.75. If you owe money to someone, if you have a debt, are you going to be in the negative or in the positive? And then that's what you would write for that blank. Okay, question number 4 says, Brett writes a number that is the same distance from 0 as 6 on the number line, but in the opposite direction. So what number did Brett write? So it says it's the same distance from 0 as 6. So if we continue this is 5, and we bring this to 6, it's the same distance, but in the opposite direction. So opposite direction would have to go this way, but it would have to be 6 spaces this way. So what number would that be? Okay, then the next question is about Anita. So Anita has 2 numbers. She has -1 and 2.5. What are the opposites of -1 and 2.5? So I can, if she's here at -1, what's the opposite of that? +1. And then if she's at 2.5, what's the opposite of that? Okay? All right, and then the last question is a series of fill in the blanks. So it says Anita made these 2 statements. The number 2 is its own opposite, and the opposite of 1.5 is 1.5. So you are going to fill in blanks based off of this scenario, and you're make sure that you're also saying whether or not these statements are true or false. So the opposite of 2 is what? Okay, that would be your first blank. What's the opposite of 2? The only number that is its own opposite is what? The only number that is its own opposite is 0, because 0 is not positive or negative. And so the first statement, is it true or false? Okay, then the second statement says the opposite of the opposite is 1.5 is 1.5. So the opposite of 1.5 is, okay, the opposite of 1.5, oh wait, I didn't do that one, so sorry, not that question. I took that one out. So let's see, the opposite of 1.5 is, okay, and then the opposite of that is, okay, so if we have here at 1.5 and we say the opposite is this one, so then the opposite of that would be right back to where we started, right? Okay, so that means the second statement is true or false based off of the opposite of the opposite. And this is just like the question that we did together on Wednesday. And it was the last question where we had to talk about the opposite of the opposite. Okay, and that's it. That's all your questions. So again, if you need help with it, please see me during office hours. I don't mind going over that, or kind of, I think the most confusing part was the opposite of the opposite. Because you just have to think like, okay, if we start with 3, the opposite is -3, and then the opposite of -3 is 3. So it's just going back and forth, and wherever you start, that's where you end. So the opposite of the opposite. Okay?
I know that it's negative.
All right. So Again, if you have any questions, please come see me during office hours. And that's it. That's all I have for you. It's a pretty easy day. Please get outside and have fun with your families, or if you're doing something inside, have fun with your families. And I just want to say I appreciate you guys. You mean the world to me. I miss seeing you. But I really want you to have a great spring break so that we can come back refreshed, ready to work. All right. Bye, guys. Have a great spring break.